Hey folks, I watched the new Little Mermaid remake. If you guys don't already know, I am someone who grew up watching the original Little Mermaid movie from Disney with my sister. I think it is an amazing and timeless classic with gorgeous visuals, memorable characters, and super catchy song numbers. I may have it ranked below the three other most well-known Disney Renaissance movies, which are Beauty and the Beast, Aladdin, and The Lion King, but I still love it nonetheless. I also grew up with its direct-to-video sequel and prequel. I have even watched the live musical show at Disney Hollywood Studios more times than I can count. I'm also someone who hasn't been a fan of a lot of Disney's live-action reimaginings of their animated movies, as they would usually add unnecessary filler and change some plot points under the assumption that the animated version was dated or flawed. The only ones I consider to be great are The Jungle Book, Pete's Dragon, and Christopher Robin, even though that one is more of a live-action sequel than a remake. Because of this, I didn't have much expectations going into this new Little Mermaid movie like other people, but I will say that everyone who is being racist due to Ariel being played by a black woman and repeatedly calling the movie woke should take this fish from SpongeBob's advice and I watched this with my family in the cinema on Friday night when it opened, and what do I think about it? Well, to be honest, this movie kinda exceeded my expectations, and I consider it to be one of Disney's best live-action remakes. I earlier said that the original Little Mermaid wasn't as amazing as Beauty and the Beast, Aladdin, and The Lion King, but I think this remake was superior to the remakes of those three movies. So here's my quick review on why. The best thing about this movie hands down is the acting. The performances are really good, with the best ones being Halle Bailey as Ariel and Melissa McCarthy's spot-on performance as Ursula. Bailey captures the high-spirited and bubbly nature of Jodie Benson's Ariel, and McCarthy was perfect casting as Ursula, as she was able to act creepy and daunting like the animated Ursula. There were even times when she sounded very identical to the original Ursula actress Pat Carroll. Besides those two, I enjoyed the voice performances of Davy Diggs as Sebastian, Luca as Flounder, and yes, Awkwafina as Scuttle, which may be partly because I don't find her annoying like most people, and I'm also one of the few people on Earth who likes Sisu from Raya and the Last Dragon. Anyway, other actors like Javier Bardem as King Triton and Jonah Hauer-King as Eric were good in their roles, but they're not as standout as the ones I've already mentioned. There was also a nice cameo from Jodie Benson that felt like the cameo by Charles Martinet in the Mario movie, although not as obvious. Moving on to the music, I enjoyed the new versions of the original movie songs, and the new songs co-written by Lin-Manuel Miranda like Ariel's In Her Head song after she gets legs, and Eric's song about wanting to see Ariel again were nice additions, and the Scuttlebutt song, while really out of place with the other songs, was kind of a bop. Sorry not sorry. Alan Menken returns to compose the music, and it is still very great stuff. I particularly loved hearing that opening theme from the original movie again, since that one does make me cry. The underwater scenes in this movie, while not something that would make Avatar: The Way of Water wet its pants, oh brother, we're still decent enough, and the CGI versions of the original's animal characters are nice looking while also having more expressions than the animals in the Lion King remake. The changes to the story weren't stupid or offensive in my opinion. They felt like genuine attempts to expand the original without taking away what made it special. I originally had a problem with Ariel not going to the surface to talk to Scuttle like she did in the original, but thinking about it more, I realized that it makes the scene where she goes out of the water to see the humans on the ship feel more impactful. I like that Ariel's sisters got some more scenes than in the original, and I especially appreciated what they did with Eric, since his parents believe mermaids are savages like how King Triton sees humans, which gives Eric a bit more personality and development than he had in the animated film, where he felt like a typical Prince Charming character who doesn't stand out from some of the other Disney princess love interests. There was also one part during the shark chase scene that I found clever with how Ariel and Flounder escaped, and the way Eric finds out Ariel's name in this one was genuinely funny. What does stop this movie from being great is that it does suffer from the Disney remake problem where the song numbers aren't quite as fun to watch as the original, although Under the Sea and Kiss the Girl were visually interesting in their own right, and the runtime didn't really need to be over 2 hours. I wish I added a bit more humor here and there, since the movie felt weirdly quiet when watching a cinema, not because it had a lot of bad jokes, but because the jokes were not as common as they were in the original. While I said earlier that the changes of this new movie didn't bother me that much, one change that admittedly made me go, huh? Was that King Triton and Ursula in this movie were now siblings, unlike in the original film when they were not related to each other. This is not the first time that this has happened in The Little Mermaid, but I still prefer it more if they were now related to each other rather than having them be siblings. It's honestly just as necessary of a change as making Buster and Babs Bunny siblings in the new Tiny Toons reboot. Flounder also could have had more plot relevance, and while Scuttle was mostly funny, she lacked the wise personality of the original Scuttle. They also cut out one of my favorite characters from the original, Chef Lewis. RIP. So in short, the 2023 Little Mermaid is a pretty good remake. Do I think this is as amazing as the original Little Mermaid? Obviously not, and it is also not as great as these movies, but I would way rather sit through this than other Disney live-action remakes like Lion King, Mulan, Beauty and the Beast, and Pinocchio. Oh my goodness! I would actually not mind watching this if someone decided to put it on instead of the animated one, which is something I can't say about the aforementioned remakes that I don't like. I think setting your expectations low where you already know it won't be as amazing as the original will help you enjoy it more. I'm not saying this is necessarily something you must see in a theater given other movies releasing this summer, but I do recommend seeing it at least once. I also want to state that it is fine to like any of the Disney remakes better than the original, even if you are an animation lover. I know many hate the Disney remake solely because they feel like it is some form of betrayal to the animation medium, but I think it is completely possible to remake an animated movie without coming off as disrespectful to the original and animation as a whole, which this Little Mermaid remake is in my eyes. It also helps in my view that many of Disney's classic films are already based on old fairy tales, which can be adapted in different ways even outside of Disney. So overall, my score for this movie is a 7 out of 10. Not a perfect remake, but a surprisingly fun time. So those were my overall thoughts on the Little Mermaid remake. Feel free to let me know in the comments below what you think about this movie as well as this review of it. Did you actually like this movie better than the original movie, or do you still prefer the original Little Mermaid more? Thank you everybody for watching. And Disney, if you ever do a sequel to this movie, just straight up remake the DVD sequel. I would be there opening night just for my homies Tip and Dash.